Welcome inside the logo design mastery inside a module that I specifically filmed because a couple of people actually DM'd me and told me that they want to get a lesson specifically for logos and how to design your logo basically the best way. What even makes a good logo? How did I came, like, what made me choose my logo and how did I make it? I'm just going to break it down from A to Z. And I hope it helps everyone who is just starting out or even people who already have a logo, which you can change, by the way, just to answer this question directly. If you have a logo that you don't like and you have, even if you already have 100K followers, you can still change your logo. You can do a rebranding. That's possible. Okay, so I did it when I had 140K. For example, on 11 Stoic, I completely changed my logo. Before I now have this blue star logo, I had a black random logo which I didn't like, so I decided to change it. I was really afraid, but it didn't really matter. So yeah, why is it even important? It just gives you instant recognition. It's a long-term memory link for everyone who ever saw your brand. It's a visual trust trigger, so when people see your page, when they see your products, when they see your newsletter, when they see your content, whatever it is, they will instantly recognize you if you have a strong logo. And yes, a logo will not make you successful automatically. Just because you have the cleanest logo doesn't mean that you will make money, that you will grow, whatever. But it just helps with everything. It makes everything easier. It makes your brand looks cooler. It makes the perception of your brand for people way cooler and better. And ultimately, it will make you a little bit more money. It will give you more authority if you have a very good logo. So it's definitely worth spending time on this activity to actually create a logo. And yeah, it's basically just a differentiator for this whole industry and in general for building businesses. Because nowadays with AI, you can build a product or you can make content very fast, but in the end of the day, they gotta be something different from anyone else. And this can be your branding, this can be your logo. And yeah, try to make sure it has a personal connection. In my case, I will go about that a little bit more in depth later on in this module. But I have a strong personal connection to my logo, which is why I just genuinely believe that I get better results than everyone who's just doing his branding or his content for the sake of doing it. Okay, so yes, I do content every single day, and I've developed this kind of style, but I always had a personal connection to this star and to the color, and I will talk about this why it is even important. So I would say that your logo is your brand's DNA, and if I tell you the name Nike, Apple, you instantly have those logos in your head, and they just spawn, really. And that's exactly what you wanna be. You wanna, if someone says the name of your brand, they should have your logo in their mind. That's just very important. Okay. An important notice that if your logo has to align with the branding of with the rest of the page. So I'm not everyone who sees this is in a different position. Some people building a personal brand, some people building a Faceless brand, some people just wanted to learn more better editing, or they just want to learn more about business. Whatever it is, you have to your logo has to align with the rest of your page. And if you haven't watched the module Brand Identity Mastery, then I would highly suggest you to do that, because it would just give you a deeper understanding of branding, and you would just learn how to apply it effectively and how to match the logo and your branding. But it basically just means that you match the colors that you use for the logo with the profile, with the reel and posts. You match them with the overall vibe and everything, and that's very important. You just can't have, let's say, a blue logo, the color blue within your logo as the main color, and then your profile grid just looks greeny, like you have green overlays or something. It just doesn't work. Okay, so make sure to make this aligned. When I think about 11 Stoic, I think of it like a real brand, and please ask yourself what kind of purpose your logo has. Okay, like I said earlier, it has a deep connection for myself. It doesn't have to be that for you. Of course, you don't need a strong connection to your logo, but it just helps with everything. And if you have some favorite things, or you have a favorite color, whatever, then you can just literally use that as the fuel for building this kind of logo. Okay, so the stronger your logo, the more gravity your brand has, and it's, if you think long term, and it's really hard to think about that in such a long run. But if you think about it, you want to build something great, right? And if you build something with a very strong branding, then eventually you will release clothing, you will release a digital product, a physical product, whatever it may be. In the long term, you want to build something. And even though you could, if you're just a beginner, you can probably not think about that. But I can, like, you trust me. Nowadays, for me, when I started, I couldn't think of it as well. I just wanted to make money. I just wanted to grow. But then eventually, after you hit a couple 100,000 followers, which takes a long time, but you will get there if you just don't stop, you will release some products, okay? Because you want to build a brand, you want to make money. And for that, you need a strong logo. And you can see the logo can be a tattoo. And if you make it to a body of a stranger, then you know you made a very strong brand, because people loving the movement, they're loving the emotions that came up with it, like with the logo. If people see Nike, they just see motivation, inspiration, or something like that. So there are a lot of people who actually getting a tattoo from Nike or Apple or Lamborghini or Mercedes. You can see this, okay, and that's crazy, of course, but just to give you some stronger direction of where you can go and where you can think of your brand. To give you some examples, you can see on the left, you can see like real billion-dollar companies. Some of them are even like trillion-dollar companies. And on the right side, you can see like faceless Instagram accounts, which act like a brand. And they're pretty similar, okay? They're very, very basic, they're simple, and they represent a movement, okay? If you see the Apple logo, you just know it's Apple. You don't even think about it, right? And that's exactly what you want to achieve with your logo. It should be very simple, and you can see that just one logo of them is a word logo, which you can do. Like if you really like the name and it's very short, it's cool, then you can use it. And otherwise, I would just suggest you to pick a logo and then just use that, okay? Because you can see there are billion-dollar companies. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel and do something crazy. Every single logo that you see right now is very basic, and it's just timeless. But what even makes a good logo? Like I said, simplicity always wins. Every single logo or every brand, almost every. Yes, there are exceptions. For example, the Porsche logo is like very detailed, but you are not a car brand, first of all. And second of all, that's the exception, okay? So don't try to be fancy, be timeless. Make it clean, make it bold, and make it minimal. That's what we want to achieve. Something that's really just simple, but looks cool. So in the end of the day, you want to match your personality with aesthetics, simple and timeless design. And that's what I did earlier. I didn't really think about it that much, to be completely fair, but it turned out to be still a very great logo till nowadays. And I don't know if I will ever change the logo again, but I just really like it nowadays, so I just don't do it right now. For me, like how I did this logo was literally my favorite color is blue, and I love stars. There's a bigger reason behind why I love stars, and I don't want to go in that more depth. But you probably also have some things that you just find aesthetically, you just like them, as weird as it sounds. And the symbol, of course, also aligns with my content. Like the scars are inspirational. They stand for sky, for deeper meaning, for asking for the purpose of life, and that's exactly what my brand is about. And that's what you want to achieve. It can have a connection with the content. It doesn't have to, because you can just build this connection with the logo and the actual content. And yeah, that's basically what makes a good logo. It's not that hard. Use max 2 colors. Yes, there are, like I said earlier, there are exceptions, but it's possible. But you just shouldn't do it. If you are like a crazy designer, or you have very, very crazy skills in logo design, then of course. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use more than 2, but if you're a beginner, or you just want to make it simple and you just don't want to make anything wrong, then trust me, just use 2 colors. And You can either use a symbol, like I said earlier, or like a logo, or the name of your brand, which is then called a word logo. And both work. I just personally like the symbol more. I don't know, it has more meaning to me, but it's personal preference. You can do the word logo as well. Just make sure if you are using a word logo that you are using a very clean font. For example, Helvetica, Montserrat, just some bold, cool logos, depending, of course, on what kind of content you post. To give you some color inspirations, there are actually triggered emotions that you have, like every single person, a human being has, if they see a color. So it depending on what kind of content you post, you can choose this kind of color. You can see that if you have a very exciting page and you have a lot of energy in your page, you can use red because it stands for youthful, bold, energy, passion, and courage. If you are having a very like slow, peaceful, calm kind of page style, then you can use green, for example. It stands for growth, for balance, for nature. And if you're just having a very hard motivational page, you can see there's black, which stands for power and efficiency. But you can also use like purple, for example, which is stands for creative. And yeah, you can just have a look at yourself at those kind of logos. They all have deeper triggered emotions when we look at them, and you can just of course work around. You don't have to use this kind of color tones, of course, but the direction should be clear for you, and the content that you post should align with that color. Now, how to create your logo, like actually create your logo fast and clean. I personally would suggest you 100% to use Canva. It's the easiest, it's free. You can also use Photoshop if you like to, but I personally actually use Canva for my logo as well, so there's no reason why you shouldn't use it yourself. To give you a live presentation on how to do this, we're just gonna tab out the presentation and I will show you exactly what we're gonna do with the logo design. Okay, so we are on Canva and I will give you a live walkthrough on how to design a logo from scratch. So if you're going to canva.com, you can sign up. It's free. There's also a pro version. For some things you need pro, but for your first logo you should not use pro version. It's fine. So go to create a new, then press on logo. You can also just type in if it doesn't appear for you. You can go to logo. And then you actually have a lot of templates and inspiration on the left side, which, by the way, the biggest hack again is inspiration. And for everything that you do, gather inspiration from any sources: Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. If you have some cool people or you have some cool designs that you see there, just download them to your phone and make a screenshot and just develop this creative sense, because in the end of the day, design matters in this business. It's content. It has to look good, in my opinion. So yeah, just don't be afraid to take inspiration. And for example, if you would like this logo here, right here, which I personally do, then you could literally just type in your name of your brand if you want a word logo. Let's just say that your brand is called Vision, which of course is not available, and your brand will not be called Vision, but let's just pretend. Then you literally would have a logo now which looks very clean for like 2 minutes. Okay, so you can use those kind of templates. That's what I sometimes do, and get some inspiration from me as well. You can literally just scroll through. You can change the colors, by the way. If you press on the background, you will have this kind of pop-up, and then you can press on the color, and then you can change it to whatever color you like. Okay, so you can also use custom color, like different color codes, and just play around. And make sure to use a color, like I said, that aligns within your brand mentality and it has a great color. Okay, so that's the first way of doing it. But if you don't want to use a template and you want to come up with something unique, then you can go to elements and you can search for different symbols. Like I said, you should have something that you think would work for your brand. If you don't have that, then literally just type in the best thing that you can think of that aligns with your brand. So for example, if you like sun, like if you for some reason just like the sun and the symbol sun, then you could type it in. You can choose your background color, which is, I don't know, we can just use, you can also use a gradient, by the way, but I personally don't like it. Let's just use black, for example, and then type in sun. And then we can just press on see all, like there will be graphics, and then you can just press on see all, and then there will be a lot of different, basically free icons that you could use for free and just make it your logo. Like you can just use them. There's no license or something. So if we scroll through it, then we can see there are a lot of different things. And for example, let's just say you like this one, which I personally don't like, but if you for some reason like it, then you could just use it. You can change the color as well here to white if you want to. Well, it doesn't look that bad, to be honest, but yeah, just to give you an idea on how it works. You can scroll down further and just look for something. There are literally endless amount of icons, and if you see that you don't like the sun, it just doesn't look good, then just search for something else. And if we go for, let's say, speed, you will have a lot of different things that relate to speed. For example, if you like bold, which I personally, actually the first logo that I had, funny story, for 11 Stoic was the bold. And then I just changed it because it didn't look that aesthetic. But for example, this one looks very cool. Or let's say this one is also very cool, and you can just change the color to, I don't know, whatever you like. White. And then you basically have a very cool logo. And then you just basically invent a brand. That's your job now, okay? And if you want to check what looks better, you can just duplicate this page. You can duplicate it again, whatever. And then you can just play around with the colors, for example, press on the background, press on color right here, and then you can just change the colors. And then you will have an overview of what you would prefer. I like the blue one personally because I just like blue, but you get the point. And that's basically the overall process of making a very basic cool logo. But there's actually a second way, which for that we're gonna go into the presentation again. And this is the paid version. And you can, if you want to, if you don't, if you literally just hate the process of making a logo, or you don't want to, or you know that you are not good in it, you can pay someone to do it. It's not that expensive. It can cost like between $10 to $200. I personally used it for a different page that I own, and it turned out to be really cool. They are always really nice, and they are like I said, very affordable. Most of them are between like $20 to $40, and you can find them on Fiverr and Upwork. You can just literally type in logo, and then you can see the portfolio of them and just check which one you prefer, which style you like more, and then you can just message them. You can buy it, and that's the paid version of doing it. I would always suggest you to give him as much information about the brand that you want to build. You can give him like a feeling that you want to trigger, or the vision for your brand. Do you want it later? Do you want to sell it on t-shirts? Which kind of colors do you like? Just be very specific with which direction you want to like get him. Because if you just tell him to make him a logo with this word, or just make a logo for me for this name, then he's just doing his thing, which you cannot influence. So that's the second way. I've used it, like I said. It's a cool way if you don't want to do it yourself. Now, how I created the 11 Stoic logo, I literally, like I said before, just used Canva for it, and it took me an hour. I think I sat in class. I had a class in university. It was over a year ago now, and I had 140k followers, and I wasn't satisfied with my logo, and so I literally just like pull out my laptop inside of the class, and I just designed the logo. And now I want to say that you can change your logo. It doesn't really hurt your page if you do it correctly, and if you don't do it too often. If you do it once and you tell your followers about it with, for example, a story, and you make a highlight for it for a couple of days, then it's fine. And otherwise, I would say, that's the overall process of how I designed my logo. Now, where should you even use your logo to make it even worth using it? Because you want to get the most leverage out of every single thing that is combined with your brand. And one aspect of your brand is your logo. So of course, use it as your profile picture. use it in slide covers if you want to create like specific slide covers. Use it within posts and reels. You can use it in an outro of your reel. You can use it on products. You can use it in an app if you want to design an app. You can use it in the story highlights, and you can use it on physical products like clothing or merch. Okay, so that's ultimately where you will use it. You can use it for more. For example, if you're having like a bigger brand and you're using ads, you can use it there. But in general, you will use them in your content and in your profile picture. That's where your logo will appear, and later on your products. Now, to give you some final words, a perfect logo will not build your brand automatically, but it just helps with everything, and it makes everything easier, and it is part of your brand forever. So spend some time on it, okay? Don't overthink it too much as well, because if you just get lost in the detail, then you will never get a result. But try to just implement your personality, some things that you can connect with, so you always, if you open your phone, you have a cool page to look on, because that's ultimately what you will see daily. So just make sure it looks cool. It has a deeper meaning, it has some emotional connection to the color, and then ultimately to the viewer. And I would say that's it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see us in the next one.